Let me go to Genesis, the first. If you have some, you can.
Yeah, while the Apostle Elder is doing that, if we quickly go to online etymology dictionary, if you brothers type in the word month in the search box, you'll see the definition of month come up. And let me go right to the point. Yeah, it says Middle Dutch, and you'll see that in post-production anyway, related to Menam, moon, or sea moon. The month was calculated. Now, listen to this. This is from online etymology. The month was calculated from lunar phases. And phases mean change. Like when you're going through a phase, you hear people say, oh, he's just going through a phase. Meaning what? He's changing, right?
The song, Take Me to the Next Phase, baby.
Yeah, the Isley Brothers, yeah. The month was calculated, and that's a good song, too. The month was calculated from lunar phases, okay? Its cognates mean only month in the Romance languages. And I believe the Romance languages is like French. Yeah. Latin, German, yeah. Yep. So the word month literally comes from the word moon. So the month is determined by the moon, not by the sun, by the moon. You got it.
This is good scripture the brother GMS Without Remedy put up, on a thing. So I'm going to read it. This is Baruch 2, and I'm going to start at 29. If you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations, where I will scatter them. And we're scattered over here to the Americas too. It says, for I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. See why? Because we discontinue from our heritage, and now we're remembering ourselves. And a part of remembering yourself is what? Your language, your power, the names of your power, the name of his son, the high holy days.
Yeah, he's Nate is so deep to trying to prove that the full moon is a new moon, yeah. but he gonna call on the name of Christ.
Kept saying Christ throughout the whole video.
Yep.
I got one thing to add to that month. Now weeks turn into month, right?
Yep.
How many people know what the word week means? Not too many, right? You ask, what does the word week mean? Well, if you go to the same online etymology dictionary, you type in the word week, okay, as in not W-E-A-K, as in week, but W-E-E-K, okay, which is a noun. It says meaning primarily change, alteration. The word literally means to change or alterate, which that brings in the word phase too, right? Like phase, you change. So the word meaning primarily, meaning firstly, change, alteration. The word may once have denoted, showing you they know, these devils know. The word may once have denoted some earlier time division, such as the change of moon, half month. But there is no positive evidence of this, which they're lying there. They're opening up your eyes in one sentence, and they're lying in the next, and that's how the devil does, man. But that's what the word week means. It means to change. What changes? The moon, the phases of the moon.
That's a good scripture. The brother GMS Vegas put down Sirach 27:11. It says, the course of a godly man is always with wisdom, but a fool changes as the moon.
Hey, well, that's Nate. He changed, right? 20 years ago, he used to teach that the Most High's name was Yahweh and his son's name was Yahweh Shai. Now he keeps saying God and Christ. So he changed, man.
As the moon. All right. So this is we more than likely through the Spirit we're gonna go over the same scriptures a few times because there's a lot of meat in these moon scriptures. But learn by repetition. I'm gonna go to Genesis 1. We're gonna go to the beginning.
Yes. Yeah, this is from crucifixion darkness Wikipedia, right? If you go to Wikipedia, you put in crucifixion darkness, and it goes biblical account, and it'll give you scriptures and all that. And it goes apocryphal writings. Then it goes ancient historians. And it goes explanations, which is miracles. Oh yeah, I'm gonna read that. Explanations, a miracle. It says, because it was known in ancient and medieval times that a solar eclipse. Now I gotta look up the word solar eclipse so I can read it to y'all. I'm gonna read the definition for lunar eclipse and solar eclipse, because Jake don't know the difference between a lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. Boy, wait a minute. Solar eclipse. Let me come back. Let me go back to the solar eclipse definition. Okay, solar eclipse. It says a solar eclipse occurs when the moon phases between the sun and the earth. I'm sorry, passes between the sun and the earth. It doesn't give you a good definition. I'm looking for another definition for solar eclipse, because I had it the other day. You know what? Let me try this. Oh boy, I hate this. Let me do it this way. Hey, speak for me.
Khan. Yeah, so pretty much. Matter of fact, I'll just go straight to the scripture in Genesis, the first chapter, because this explains it perfectly. Genesis 1:14. Matter of fact, I'll read the first verse. In the beginning, the powers created the heaven and the earth. And this is the story of creation, right? Verse 14. And the powers said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. So everything that you see, the host of heavens that you see up there, those are all lights from the beginning. Everything was a light. You know, different stars, planets, the sun, the moon, you know, and whatever else, you know, other lights are up in the heavens. It says, and they were created to divide the day from the night. That's why in the daytime, you're supposed to see the sun, you know, but nowadays, since things are so messed up, you see the moon and the sun at the same time in certain days, because everything is turned upside down. It says, and the power said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. You know, and that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, okay. I'm going back to this here, which is crucifixion darkness. If you go to Wikipedia and you go to crucifixion darkness, you go down to explanations, it says a miracle, right? It says, because it was known in ancient and medieval times that a solar eclipse this is when the moon blocks out the sun. So what makes the sun look darkened is the moon going in front of it. So you get that effect. It says it says, because it was known in ancient and medieval times that a solar eclipse could not take place during Passover. All right. Solar eclipses require a new moon, meaning the moon is dark, the dark side of the moon. All right, because of the way the sun hits the moon and all that. While Passover only takes place during a full moon. Now, what do they mean by full moon? When you see the brightness of the sun. It said it was considered a miraculous sign rather than a naturally occurring event. It wasn't a miraculous sign, but it's also a naturally occurring event. Now, when you go to the scholars and the historians, the archaeologists and the biblical scientists, because you have scientists that use their knowledge of science to prove that the Bible is either true or false. So you have biblical religious type scientists, like to find out whether the ark actually existed. They had scientists and historians and archaeologists, go over there. They had to be accompanied by scientists, right? Yeah. And use their data to do a DNA test and so forth and so on, right? But this is what they're all saying. They're all saying that the Passover, and that was when Yahushua was crucified, because when does the Passover come in? It comes in the 14th day. In other words, you have the first moon of that year, meaning the springtime. That brings in the spring. So you count 14 days from that point, and then the evening of that point, because you slaughtered the lamb or the sheep on the 10th day, or you gathered it, you get the lamb. It tells you that in Exodus, the 12th chapter. You get the lamb on the 12th day, and if you have a next door neighbor whose house is not big, then you invite them over. Goes into it, man. But anyway, on that 14th day, in the daytime, you're preparing for the Passover. And at evening, that's when you eat the Passover. And that's 14th day. When the sun goes down, that's the beginning of what? The 15th day. So all the scholars say the same thing. That the beginning of that month is a new moon, meaning the moon is invisible, right? So now when Yahushua was placed upon the cross, what happened? It had to be a lunar eclipse. Now it could have been a regular day. The moon wasn't in the full moon stage or the new moon stage. Because based upon what Nate's saying, if the full moon is the first of the month, so you got the first month of the year, which is a Bib, which is 14, 15 days before the Passover. So that means Yahushua and the apostles or the disciples, they had to keep the Passover 14 days at evening, right? So if he was on the cross, according to Nate, that had to be a solar eclipse, not a lunar eclipse. You'll catch up with me, because I've been studying. It's in my head. You have a solar eclipse and you have a lunar eclipse. Now, go to the scripture where it speaks about Yahushua being on the darkness for 3 hours, and I'm gonna show you something. Now, unless that was a regular day, we're not dealing with the sun or the moon or whatever, and the Most High just made it dark. He sent down a UFO. He just miraculously made it dark. Okay, that's one thing. But all the scholars and the Bible historians, they all say that it had to be an eclipse. Now, the question is whether it was a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse. But based on what eclipse it was on, we know when the full moon comes in and when the new moon comes in, right? Yeah. I hope everybody's with me.
Yeah, because the full moon would come in on the 15th day, which is at evening.
Right when Yahushua right when you have, well, the 14th day at evening to the 15th day at evening, you know? Because you don't know the difference between a full moon and a